Hello, my dear friends. How are you? I am so beyond incredibly appreciative of you all because we are now over 1K subscribers on this channel. Over 1,000 of you are here. What? My mind cannot fathom that number. I can't imagine all over 1,000 of you standing in this room watching me. Why do I have to put it like that? That sounds so weird. I honestly cannot thank you all enough. From the most sincere, deepest, part of me, I thank you. Thank you so incredibly much. There are a lot of amazing questions that you all sent, so thank you so much for sending those over. You guys sent them over to me on YouTube as well as on Instagram, and if you're not following me on Instagram, feel free to do so. The link is down below in the description box. This is just so bizarre for me because I never envisioned myself as a YouTuber. This is never something I aspired to. I know a lot of people have aspired to become YouTubers. I just really wanted to share my love of books, and I'd been lurking on the side of BookTube when I found out there was such a thing as BookTube, so only a few years ago. I just really never thought that this would happen. I just thought it would just be kind of me speaking into a little void, having maybe some close friends follow it, but nothing extreme. So you all have blown me and my expectations completely out of the water. I am beyond flattered. I'm feeling a little awkward about it. I'm just feeling really wholesome, you know? I wish I could just give you all a really big hug and just thank you. So based on my past videos, you all might know by now, I really enjoy separating things into categories and superlatives. So I have dissected your many questions, I think we have just over 20, into different little categories. First, I want to start with some personal questions. Some of you asked some really wonderful, heartfelt, really cute questions about my personal life, so I'll be answering those. This is obviously, because it's a 1K Q&A, this is definitely going to be a more chill, chatty video where I just talk to you all. No props, nothing, just me, my boy David, and some cats. The second little section is going to be my personal interests. So I was asked a few different things about favorite foods, favorite blah 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 blah, all that kind of stuff. I'll be answering those in the second category. And the last category, of course, is going to be books. All the books. You have so many questions about my books and my reading taste and all of these different things that I'm super geeked to answer. I will link some timestamps below as well in the description box. If you want to skip over any of these sections, please feel free. It's not gonna hurt my feelings. Go. See what you want to see. If you don't really enjoy chatty videos to begin with, this might not be the video for you. I was honestly just really blown away by how curious you all are about my personal life, about my reading style. It's just so overwhelming to me because, you know, I still have that little part of me that's like, who's interested in what I have to say and what I have to do? All of this is just so bizarre to me. So thank you so much for being here. I know I've said it so many times, but genuinely thank you. Let's hop into some questions. I have my phone here. We're gonna go ahead and answer some questions. So starting with the personal category, this is such a cute question, but it is, what is the origin of your name? So my name is August. I love my name. Let's start there. I love my name. That is my birth name. That is a name that my parents gave me. I feel like it fits me really well. I like how unique it is, and I have yet to really meet another female or someone who identifies as female named August. Typically they are all men and boys, so I think it's a really special name. It's really unique. I get a lot of compliments on it, which I love, but I always just say it's my parents. I really can't be given credit at all. It was all my parents. So the origin, this is where things get spicy. Spicy, really eerie, really weird. So my parents just kind of came up with the name. My sister also has a really unique name, and we both have really cool middle names as well. And my parents were like, yeah, those are the names. My mom grew up not knowing her biological father. So it wasn't until I was a year old that my family met, you know, my real grandfather, my biological grandfather, and my mom got to meet him for the first time. So when she tracked him down, which is just its own story entirely, the one that she should be telling, not me, because I was a wee young child. I have no recollection of this. But when she tracked him down and found him and called him, she said, yes, you know, I'm your daughter, and I have my own daughter, so now you're a grandfather, and my daughter's name is August. And he was like, August, that's a weird name. And my mom was like, ugh, I've heard this before. People just think it's a really weird name. August, woohoo, we couldn't think of July or February. I get that joke a lot of the times from middle-aged dad folks. oh, is your sister September? I get it all the time. It's haha, one of those things of like, I've never heard that one before. But anyway, so my grandfather said that's a weird name. My mom was like, oh, yeah, well, we really like it. And he said, no, it's weird because my mother, so my great-grandmother, her middle name was Augusta. My great-grandmother's, this is so eerie, I'm getting the goosebumps again, but her mother was named Augusta. Her mother was named Augusta. What in the heck, you guys? What? What? That is not a common name. That is not a common name at all. So technically I am like 4th generation August. I'm just not Augusta. My great-grandmother's middle name was Augusta. That is so bizarre because my mom, like I said, knew absolutely nothing about her biological father or that side of the family. It blows my mind. It is such an eerie story. It is one of those stories that's like the creepiest coincidences, and I really don't share that story often. It's really only when people ask and I know them quite well. So typically I'm like, oh yeah, my parents just liked the name and kind of move on. But yeah, that is the origin of my name, and there's something more tied to it. We also have some other really odd coincidences in my family with that kind of stuff too. So if you all are interested in knowing some more, because my sister has a really interesting name story. Both my sister and I were born on holidays, which is very odd. So yeah, if you're all curious, definitely let me know. I'm happy to share more, maybe in my next Q&A. 2K Q&A. Let's manifest it. Okay, so next I got a super sweet question. Thank you for asking this, but it said, can you please, this is all in caps, introduce your cats, their personalities, and their origin story of like how they came into my life. And to that I say frickin' gladly, any chance I have to gush about my pets, I'm going to do it. This is Umi! Hey Umi, can you look at the cameras? He has the most beautiful blue eyes. Let's see if we can get... Oh, yes! This is my baby Umi. He is a sweet little thing. He just turned 3 years old. He is a blue seal sphynx. Yes, so you're very exotic. You are. You're an exotic baby. Do you want to go down? Okay, I'll let you down. So Umi has a very, again, serendipitous origin story. Both of them have very interesting origin stories. So before I had both of these kitties, I had one sphynx cat named Rue. Her full name was Oparu, and she sadly really unexpectedly passed away a few years ago. Like really unexpectedly. It was very traumatic. I fell into a very deep dark depression because it was so, I was just blindsided. When I had Rue for about like a year, my mom fell in love with sphynx cats. I grew up as a dog person. My family was like always about dogs. I'm severely allergic to cats, so we just never had them around the house. I definitely was looking for a pet companion. I knew I'd be living alone soon, and I just really wanted something to come home to, and I did a bunch of research about sphynx cats. I learned as much as I possibly could about them and realized like, oh my gosh, I think this is the perfect pet for me. I adopted Rue, and my mom fell in love with Rue. Both of my parents fell in love with Rue. They wanted her over all the time. They wanted to spend time with her like she was the grand kitty. And my parents were like, I think we really want to get a sphynx cat. So my mom did some research. She found a cattery, like an actual sphynx cat breeder, up in Ohio. And so she was like, hey, do you want to come with me? She shouldn't have asked that. But I offered to drive her so that way on the way back I could drive and she could bond with her tiny little baby kitten. And so we drove a few hours, went to go pick him up, and when I was there was this tiny little runt of a cat. He could fit in the palm of my hand. He was so small, and it was Umi. He was just sitting there being so cute, and I walked into this house. There are sphynx cats everywhere, and I walk in and my eyes lock with his, and I felt this feeling of like, oh my, I just kind of walked him like, that's how we did. You know, when you like transfix, you're like, I need it. And I picked him up and I was like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, this one in particular. And the breeder goes, that's so funny because he's the only one that hasn't been adopted. How would I have known that? I did not know that. It was an instant connection. So I got the cat and I brought Umi home, and since then he has just been such a delight. He is such a goofball. He was such a rambunctious little kitten. Him and Rue became like best friends, and it was incredibly awful to see Umi's reaction when Rue passed away and we didn't bring Rue home from the hospital. Umi would run around the apartment looking under closets, sniffing at things, trying to find Rue. So he would just continuously cry. He's very vocal. Both of my cats are extremely vocal, and he would just like cry and kind of do this like wailing scream sound. And Sphynx cats are very social. You are not home all the time to give them attention. They do recommend that you get a second cat to keep them company because they are sociable and they're actually known to get depression and become depressed. It took about a year, I believe, of just kind of casually looking online to adopt another cat. We knew we wanted to rescue one. I really didn't feel that good about buying a cat from a breeder. And that's just me personally, but I really wanted to rehome an animal that really needed a nice loving home, a second home if you will. And that is when we found Winston. And this is Winston. Hello, Winnie. A sweet thing. The camera? Hi, he is my big squishy boy. He is very squishy. Look at you. You're so squishy. I'll set you down. He doesn't like being held. Winston came into our lives very serendipitously last year on my birthday. So my partner and I had been looking. We were ghosted many times when we would reach out to people about adopting their Sphynx cats. We knew we wanted a Sphynx cat that was around the same age as Umi. We were definitely struggling. I almost got like catfished into a scam. Like it was a mess. And then once it hit midnight on my birthday, my partner was looking online for some cats and found Winston online, and the posting had only gone up like 20 minutes before, so I was like, we need to message them ASAP. We messaged them, got in contact with the owner. They were like, oh yeah, we're available as early as tomorrow morning. You can come pick him up. And he was located in Michigan, which is my home state. That's where we are. We were able to drive on my birthday to go pick up Winston, and it was fate. It was like beyond perfect. We went, we picked him up, we introduced him to Umi. Things did not go well at first. I will not lie. It was chaotic for the first like 6 months. It was awful. Like they did not like each other. Umi started going through some health issues. He is now fine and he's okay. But it was really touch and go there for a little bit. Yes, you? Do you know I'm talking about you? You know I'm talking about you. See what I mean? They're very vocal. Especially you, Winnie. Now they get along really well. Winston is still definitely an antagonizer and will just like pounce on Umi. He's very much the annoying younger brother who just wants to play all the time, and Umi is like, dude, stop, like I just want to sleep, like leave me alone. So their personalities are so funny. They bring me so much joy every single day. They are such snugglers. They love to snuggle with me. It's the best feeling in the entire world when they're just like, I wake up and they're both like in my arms. They are so goofy. They're so rambunctious. Somebody's listening to rap music outside. Their full names, I will share that as well. So Umi is Japanese for the sea or the ocean because of his blue eyes, but his middle name is Sushi, so he's Umi Sushi. So dumb. And then Winston, that was the name he actually came with, and I really wanted my partner to name Winston. So I asked my partner, like, do you want to name him? Do you want to change his name? He was like, no, I love the name Winston, and he gave him the middle name of Weasley. So his name is Winston Weasley. So those are my cats. I love them so much. Thank you for asking. Hopefully that wasn't super boring to hear me rattle on and on and on about my cats, but they're fantastic. Next question is, how did you and your partner meet? Oh, this is so cute. So this year is going to be our 8-year anniversary, which blows my mind. That is wild to me. So this is another one of those serendipitous stories. I met my partner Alec 3 weeks before I moved to Canada. I had been dating a guy over that summer. I broke it off with him because I knew I was moving to Canada for school. I went to art school in Toronto. And so I broke it off because I was like, I really don't want to start university for the first time. Like I just graduated high school. I really didn't want to start going into university, dating somebody from the States and having to do long distance. Like I wanted to go there fresh. Honestly, I was trying to manifest like a super amazing relationship romance with like an international student. I was like giving myself total romance movie vibes. I was like, I'm gonna meet the love of my life. He's gonna be from Paris. We're gonna move to Paris. So at that time I was working at a pizzeria slash sports bar, and one of my friends and coworkers there was like, hey, like let's go to Coast Guard. So in Michigan, you might know, you might not, but Michigan is a peninsula state, so we are surrounded entirely by freshwater lakes, and on like 30 to 40 minutes away from us is Lake Michigan. And so there's this little town over there called Grand Haven, and every year they have this thing called the Coast Guard Festival. They bring in all of these roller coaster rides, they bring in all of these like fun little arcade arcade games. Thousands of people come, and basically it's because they bring in the Coast Guard ships to the bay, and people can tour Coast Guard ships and just take a peek at it. But like, it's just this beautiful beach, there's lighthouses, like it's just a really beachy summery time. So my coworker asked me if I wanted to go, and I was like, yeah, for sure, like I have no plans, I just broke up with my boyfriend, that's fantastic. So I'm like, yeah, let's go. And he was like, I'm gonna bring a friend. And I was like, ugh. I'm like, oh my god, I just wanted us to hang out, but fine. They went to pick me up, and the second Alec got out of the car, I was like, I'm in love. I'm in love. Like, this guy is so attractive. Like, oh no. And on that first date, he didn't ask me to go on a date. He was telling me, he's like, we're gonna get coffee. And I was like, okay. We got coffee. Our first date ended up being like 4 or 5 hours long. We just talked forever over coffee. It was just kind of sealed immediately, and we made our relationship official like I think a week later, but it was never really like discussed. So unfortunately though, after those amazing blissful 3 weeks of being together, we entered into a long distance relationship for 1.5 years while I lived in Canada. That was hard. That was awful. I don't recommend, I mean, I recommend it because it's worked out. Now we live together and we are planning a future together, and we've been together for 8 years now. But going, like, knowing somebody, only meeting each other 3 weeks before getting into a long-term relationship and a long-distance relationship. Winston's talking to the birds if you hear that. But yeah, going into a long-distance relationship for over like 1.5 years was incredibly difficult. It was hard. We obviously made it, and I'm so happy. I love him so much. Like, we just fit together so well. We just make each other laugh. We have a great time. We have this little family together of our cats, and yeah, I'm just gushing now, but that is how we met. And it was very serendipitous because he has his own side of the story as well, of like, he was this close to not going to Coast Guard, but he ended up going, and from then on we were just like basically joined at the hip, and we've been like that for 8 years. Next question is, how was it like going to art school? Did you enjoy it? Oh my god, okay, let's get real, friends. I mean, I've been real and honest this whole time, but like, art school was hard. Art school was really, really hard. So I lived in Toronto, like downtown Toronto. I lived outside of Chinatown, and I went to a small art college there called Ontario College of Art and Design University. And I studied 35mm film photography, and I was trying to minor in cinematography. I had already had like a really big passion for art. I was super geeked about it. I was so excited. I moved to Toronto not knowing anybody. I didn't know anybody who lived there. I lived in a co-op, so I lived in a co-op house with 10 other people, and it was co-ed as well. I had international students. They all went to different schools, but it was 11 of us total in that house, and I loved it. Everyone there was so sweet, so kind. I have such fond memories of them. We had students from Paris, Brazil, very international like house that I lived in, and I loved that. I love the city of Toronto. It is probably the place that I have like the biggest hole in my heart not living there. I love the city I'm in right now, but I miss Toronto like almost every day. Toronto just made me feel alive. It made me feel really good. But so art school. I loved art school. The first year that I went, you know, learning just basic art history, which I loved. I love studying art history. I was doing sculpture, painting, drawing, color theory, photography obviously, and then my second year I was doing color film photography, getting to work in all the darkrooms and stuff, which was the main reason I went to that school. I do have to say though, my mental health was awful. As an international student on a student visa, I wasn't allowed to work, and because of that I had no money whatsoever, let alone the fact that, you know, paying tuition, paying rent. Rent was insane, even though I shared a house with 10 other people. It was really expensive. Food is expensive. Just cost of living in that big city is really expensive. So I wasn't able to get a job because I was on a student visa, and it made going back my second year impossible. I was only able to finish one other class, and then I had to drop out. I had to drop all of my classes and move back home because it was not feasible. There was no way that I could be a student full-time and not work and not make a living. When I went home for the summer, I was working 2-3 separate jobs to try and save as much as I possibly could to go for the next semester. And that was just not feasible because even as soon as I went back, I drained that money within like 2 months because of the cost of living. In terms of the actual school itself, I really enjoyed it. I think it's a very problematic school though. I think there were a lot of issues. I didn't feel like there was any support whatsoever for international students. students. And even though it was like US to Canada, I didn't have that much of a culture change or culture shock. They were really not helpful with international students whatsoever. There was really no guidance, there was no assistance. I couldn't apply for student loans, I couldn't apply for scholarships, I couldn't apply for like just any other type of job on campus that wouldn't necessarily be like taxed or wouldn't get me deported, basically. So that sucked, but the actual school itself and what I learned and the facility and just like the actual campus, gorgeous, beautiful, I loved it. So that is my like really big wrapped up answer for that. It was a really hard time though. I did go into a lot of dark places because I was so broke. It wasn't very good, it wasn't very pretty. I was incredibly depressed. I was diagnosed with chronic insomnia. It was kind of a mess, but in terms of the memories that I've then taken from that experience, they're pretty good. Okay, friends, I promise, this is the last personal question. These ones are way more long-winded than I anticipated, so after this one, it's gonna be like just pretty basic questions that I can probably answer in like a few sentences. These other ones are more like stories, so I apologize. This last question of the personal section is, what made you start your channel? So like I mentioned earlier, I never aspired to be a YouTuber, ever. It's like the last thing I ever thought I would ever want to do because I am very critical and cynical and not very happy with social media. It honestly infuriates me a lot of the time. I feel like I'm like too much of an introvert. I feel like it would be really weird, but alas, here I am. And I started this channel because I was, and I still am, just so frickin' passionate about books. Like, I'm so passionate, and while I have people in my life I feel like I can talk to about books, I don't feel like a lot of my friends or people that I know read as excessively as I do or really want to spend their time when we're together discussing books. I'm sure there are a hand select few, but most people, like, you know, books are kind of like movies. Like, I have some friends who are huge movie nerds and huge movie buffs, and they know so much about movies, and I'm like, I don't get it. It's different, you know, and I just really wanted to connect with other people and talk about the books I'm reading because so many of them I would find thrifted, or so many of them would have barely any ratings on Goodreads. So I was like, yo, no one's talking about this book, like, let's talk about it, and I want to discuss it, and I want to discuss literature, discuss certain authors, why I like them, what makes their writing so amazing, what makes these stories so great. I just wanted an outlet. At the end of 2020, I was like, okay, biggest goal for 2021 is start the YouTube channel. Like, just start it, just go, just do it. Don't be afraid anymore. Like, stop living in fear. Like, this could be one of the best things that ever happened to you, and it honestly has. It honestly has, because so many of you are here, and I get so many nice comments every day, and like, it just blows my mind. I love that I'm introducing people to new books. You all are introducing me to new books, giving me recommendations, and like just cheering me on as I like get to read. Like, that's the best life ever, and I can't believe I was ever so scared to join it on here and to like show my authentic self and to like step away from being behind the camera all the time. You know, I worked in marketing for years, so I was always behind other brands on social media. I never really interacted as myself, and even owning my own photography business, yeah, it's me, but like, it's behind the camera at all times. I'm never in front of it, and this is the first time where I feel like I can show my authentic self and I can just truly be who I am, which is just really passionate and loud and excited and just, I hope, a calming, safe place for you all. That's really what I want it to be, is just like, you're just welcome to be here, and I just want to give really good book recommendations and thrift all the time. Ah, it's so nice. So yeah, I'm geeked out. I'm so happy to be here. It's so cool. So that is why I started this channel. Now, moving on to the next section, which is interests. These are just like favorites that I was asked. What are your favorite blah 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 XYZ? First one is favorite band slash singer. I am all over the place when it comes to music because I really love like grungy California surf rock. And then on the other end of the spectrum, I really love like witch house music. I love witch house so much, it's my jam. I've got like some rap in there that I really like, but I would say like hands down, the only group that I feel like I can listen to any song of their entire discography and freaking love it is the Cranberries. The Cranberries, 1000%. Dolores O'Riordan, rest in peace, my sweet baby. I was so sad when she passed away. I was like, no. But like, amazing vocals, amazing music, such classic songs. I have so many of their CDs in my car, and if I just put in one of their CDs, every single song is a bop, okay? Every single song is a bop by the Cranberries, and like there is no wrong there. So I think in terms of being able to enjoy every song from their entire collection, everything they've ever made, definitely the Cranberries. You know, obviously there are a lot of other bands I listen to and that I love. Like another one, for example, is Young Lean. I love Young Lean. He's a Swedish rapper. Most years on my Spotify wrap up, like he's my #1 artist because I love his music so much, and that's so different than the Cranberries. But there are songs of his that I don't like, but like the Cranberries, there is no wrongdoing. So I'm all over the place. If you're curious about some more music that I listen to, I'm always happy to talk more about music because I love it. Another genre that I think just deserves a lot more attention that I listen to all the time is just jazz. I have a lot of jazz on vinyl. That's mainly the biggest kind of section of my vinyl collection that I have is jazz. I love jazz. So yeah, that's basically it. That's it for that question. Next is favorite photographer. So I am a professional photographer. I have a lot of favorites. I would say my favorite photographer is probably Olivia B. She does a lot of 35mm film photography. I've been following her work for years, probably since like 2010. 2011. We're around the same age, which is wild, and she's crushing it. She's been blowing up for the past like 4 or 5 years. She's done a lot of work with really big celebrities and famous musicians and stuff, but she has just this like really dreamy, film grainy look that I love, and I wish I could emulate, but all my film cameras are broken right now. I miss film so much, but yeah, I would say Olivia B. Favorite booktuber. Oh my god, why you do this? Okay, I would say I have so many favorites. Maybe that'll be a separate video one day. Let me know if you're interested in that. Comment down below if you'd like to see that. But I would say probably my favorite booktuber is probably Emma from Emmy Reads. There's something just like really calming about her videos. She was the one, when I found her channel, I realized I could do booktube, because before then I saw booktube as more of like an entertainment thing. It was for entertainment value, like shorter videos, mainly talking directly at the camera, not really showing an outside life, like keeping things for entertainment value. And they do a great job at it, you know, like those are great booktubers, and I still watch their content and I eat it up and I love it. I watch them religiously. I realized like, oh, I love this content. I love this content where even if it's just long montages of a person's day with beautiful piano music in the background, like it's still enjoyable. I think in terms of reading style, Emma has a style that like is a little bit more in line with like what I do with like thrifted books, more underrated books, a lot of translated work. That's something that I'm really passionate about. She reads a lot more classics than I do. I'm not there. I am not with it. And every time she comes out with a new video, I will drop everything to watch it. So I would say Emmy Reads. And then last one for interests is favorite food. I don't know, guys, I don't know. I would probably say like my favorite food that I probably like crave the most is mashed potatoes. I love mashed potatoes so much. Like give me like a good holiday and I will go nuts on the mashed potatoes. Like I love mashed potatoes. I really like poke bowls. I really like Mexican food. I love Mexican food. Favorite thing that I like to make at home that's like the most like basic, easiest thing is like vegan tuna salad sandwiches. I love my vegan tuna. It's from this brand called Loma, and it tastes just like normal tuna, to me at least. It's been many years since I've had meat or tuna, but I really like vegan tuna salad sandwiches. It's really good. Okay friends, now onto the book section of this Q&A. The last chunk of this video is just going to be talking about all the book questions, bookish related content that you all asked about. First question is, who is your favorite author and why? And I thought really, really hard about this. I thought so hard about this, of like, who is my favorite author? Who? I don't have one. I honestly don't have one, and I think it's because I find most of my books used and secondhand and thrifted. I don't buy authors' books because I find out they came out with a new one. I don't do that. So the most books I've ever read by the same author is like only like 2 or 3 books. I don't think I've ever read one author's entire collection of literature that they've ever written. I don't stay tuned or updated with like, oh, this author that I really like came out with a new book, I have to buy it. My brain does not work that way. And I could say like, oh, I could just pick like my favorite book, but I think author, it should be judged on their collection of works and how highly I rate them and enjoy them, right? So yeah, I don't have one. Sorry. Next question is favorite book of all time. I received several people asking what my favorite book of all time is, and I will say it is Radiance by Catherine M. Valente. I love this book. I would love to reread it to see if that feeling is still there, but this is a science fiction, alt history, space opera mystery set in our solar system. But it has like steampunk ships, like rockets, steampunk world, very elegant, very beautiful. It's super creative, it's really bizarre, it's really weird, really poetic, lyrical, makes literally no sense. Masterpiece. Masterpiece to me. Mwah, 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 mwah. I want more books like that. What books take you back to your childhood? That's so sweet. That's such a cute question. I would definitely say The Search for Delicious by Natalie Babbitt, who is also the same author as Tuck Everlasting. I loved this book as a kid. I just have a very weird, like, vivid memory of reading that book in particular. I still have my copy of it, which is awesome. The Anybody's by N.E. Buddy. This is a book that I recently reread, and it stood the test of time for me, friend. Little old, like, 9-10-year-old me was like geeking out to my parents about this book, and they're probably like, yeah, but I was like, oh my god, this book is so good. Little nerdy old Those two books for sure take me so back into my childhood. And it's such a good feeling. And then I got a question, is there something you're specifically interested in, like such as like a specific genre? I think what I gravitate most towards and what I end up giving 5 stars to are literary fictions with magical realism. I think that blend is like what I look for and what I love in a book. I like books that make me question reality. They make me question whether the plot was real or was it magical realism. Or was it in someone's head and then it's all psychology? I love books that deal with time, mortality, science like physics or math or something like that. I like elements like that that just tie really well in together. And then if it has poetic, lyrical language, that's the kind of genre I'm into. But in terms of genres, like, I read everything. So next we have, which 5 books would you take on a desert island? Such a good question. Okay, first off, I would definitely take Radiance by Catherine M. Valente. I would probably take The Book Thief by Marcus Zuzak. Then I'd probably take White Ghost Girls by Alice Greenway. Snow by Betsy Howie. And then the last one would definitely be Little Weirds by Jenny Slate. Those 5 books are some of my 5 favorites of all time, and they would all like keep me so entertained and have like a really wide variety of narrators and characters, stories. Yeah, those would be my 5 books. What is your favorite thing about being a bookworm? Oh, so many. I would have to say my favorite thing is that I just get to read from so many different people's perspectives. I love that we get to see through so many different people's eyes. I think that's definitely hands down my favorite thing. I love having books that I can like geek out about and like make other people excited by talking about. But I would have to say probably the most like rewarding feeling day to day is that I know personally I just feel so much better when I'm reading. If I am like, oh, I'll just watch TV for the evening, I usually don't feel very good after that. I just feel like I wasted a day. But I know with reading, like, it makes me feel so happy. It makes me feel so good. Like, that's when I feel like I'm at my most, like, cozy, happy, comfy, just like so in love with reading and in love with the world, and like if I'm connecting with the characters and the writing style and everything's flowing, like I just feel good. I feel happy. I feel so content, and that excitement is really palpable for me. Like I really do feel it. So I think day to day that is definitely the biggest takeaway, but I think overarching is definitely learning more from other people. What is a book that made you evolve / grow as a person? That is such a great question. I'm gonna have to say Snow by Betsy Howie. It made me feel so seen. That main character just felt so relatable. It was an unnamed narrator, an unnamed main character, even though she was going through a divorce. And I can't relate to that specifically, but just her anger and her sadness and her feelings that were then transformed into these magical realism talking animals that would talk to her while she snowed into this cabin was so stunning and so beautiful, and it made me really think, like, if our emotions were to show up as animals, we would care for them a lot more than how we care about our emotions in our bodies, right? Like when I'm angry, for me at least, I get irritated that I'm angry. I'm like, I don't want to be angry right now. Like, just like get over it. Like, let's move on, you know, that kind of feeling and mentality. But if, let's say, anger was personified as a bear, as it was in this book, you would be terrified of the bear. But really the bear is like, no, you know, I'm just scared. That's what really anger is. Anger is just kind of being like fearful of something and kind of showing emotions in this kind of like more of a outburst kind of way instead of in an introspective way, such as like sadness. So I don't know, I just feel like if we would tend to our emotions as we would tend to an animal that was wounded or like needed care or attention, like we wouldn't be so mean to it. And that book just really made me think about emotions in a completely different way. That character I related to so much. I did receive one question as well that asked, like, is there a character that you really relate with? And I would definitely say the main character of Snow. Even though it is magical realism and it's super bizarre and really weird, I just really connected with that feeling of like being so afraid of your emotions, admiring other people without ever giving yourself credit and ever stopping to think that other people might admire you. Like just having such low self-confidence and self-esteem. Yeah, I don't know. There's just so many elements of that book that I think it really shifted a lot of things in my mind. A lot of things that I'm obviously... It didn't cure me of having any negative thoughts about myself. No, that still happens. But that book made me really think and question and get excited with these realizations, and I definitely want to plan like a really cool tattoo around that book because it shifted so much inside of me, and I really loved that. This question, which book straight up disappointed you? Oh my gosh, I have so many, but I think the most recent one that I can think of is Howl's Moving Castle by Diana Wynne Jones. I know, I'm like a piece of shit, okay? Like, I am horrible. I'm definitely in the minority, but this book, like, really disappointed me. I knew it would be different than the movie. I've loved the movie for years. I knew it would be different, but there were things done in that book that I was like, why? Like, I just was really cynical. I was really questioning it. I did not enjoy it. I thought the writing style was really boring. I did not find anything, like, cozy or comforting about this book. Like, I just didn't connect with it, and maybe like give it a few years and I can revisit it, maybe I change my mind. But compared to like everyone saying like, oh, it's a comfort read and it's so cozy, it's so magical, I was like, oh my god, I'm so excited to read it, and then I read it and I was like, what? No. So yeah, unfortunately, Howl's Moving Castle. Next we have, how did you get into reading and books? And then I'm gonna pair that with another question, which is, were you an avid reader in childhood? So yes, I was an avid reader in childhood, and that is how I got into reading and books. I've always just really loved reading, and I'm very grateful for that. I'm very lucky that I was introduced to books at a young age, and I fell in love with them. I fell into their worlds. I loved them so much. I would always bring a book with me. I feel like almost everywhere I went as a kid. I loved being lost in books. I loved reading. I loved finding new books. I loved the scholastic book fairs. Oh my god! Like, that was just a feeling. I loved being at the library. Every day in middle school I'd go to the library. In the summer I would ride my bike to our local public library, check out a book, bring it home, read it in one day, the next day bike all the way back to the library, pick up a new book, read it, bring it back. That was my entire summer. I think from like 6th to 7th grade, that is what I did almost every day, was biking to and from the library. And I would never check out more than one book. I would just get one book, sit, finish it, and then go and return it. That was a pretty long bike ride as well, so I have always loved reading. It's something that just brings me and has always brought me a lot of joy, so it makes me really happy. Next, will you be doing more zodiac recommendations? Yes, 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 I am. I'm gonna be doing one for every single zodiac sign. If you are not familiar, I will link some of the videos down below, but I've started doing a zodiac recommendation series. You do not have to be born in that zodiac sign to enjoy those books. I also do recommend them for just like that season we're in. So the latest one I just finished was a Taurus video, so up next is going to be Gemini. So definitely stay tuned. I'm going to be doing all of them until we hit Pisces. So yeah. Ooh, this is a good one. Do you listen to music while reading? If so, do you have a playlist? And the answer is no. I don't listen to music while reading, but I do watch and listen to ambient videos on YouTube. These are videos that last anywhere from like 3 to 8 hours long, and I freaking love them. I love hand selecting what mood fits the book I'm reading or what the weather's like outside. So my favorite as of late has been a coffee shop jazz ambiance video. Before then I loved the Royal Library video where it's like you hear quill scratching sounds and pages flipping and you're in this like kind of library study that kind of looks like it belongs in Hogwarts. I love that video for like the fall winter time. There's some really good like spring nature ones. So you hear like water trickling and like birds singing. I've tried listening to music while reading and I get so distracted, and I notice like if there's like kind of beats in the music, my eyes kind of read in that beat and it's super weird. So I don't listen to music, but I love ambience videos. What is your favorite middle grade book? The Anybody's by Anybody. Go read it. Coming up after this video is going to be a vlog where I reread it and you will hear me gush about it a lot. So definitely stay tuned for that video. How do you read so fast? Okay, I could easily say, I just love books, I just love to read. If you love books and are passionate about it, you can read fast too. And that's just BS. That's BS. Let's just stop thinking that if we just give like pro tips, we can help people read faster, because I honestly think that's BS. So let's talk about it for a hot sec, okay? Hot take here. I have a neurotypical brain. I have a neurotypical brain. I am able to read information, I'm able to comprehend information, and my brain doesn't really tend to lose signals or get distracted or mix letters. If you have ADHD, ADD, dyslexia, reading is going to be more difficult. And that is just something that's going to happen if you have a neurodivergent brain. That is totally fine and normal and okay if you're not able to read quickly or even comprehend the information you read. Or if you're dyslexic, it's going to be really difficult to read fast. And that's not something that I feel like can just be taught. I think it's something that has to deal directly with our brains. I think that if you are looking to enjoy more literature and you want to read more, I would say like try to think about what movies you love the most, what certain settings you like, what type of writing style you think you might enjoy. Do you like more flowery language or do you like more dialogue? Do you like books that are a little bit more like a movie, or do you like books that are really abstract? Like really kind of try and figure that out and then ask your friends for recommendations, or ask a booktuber for recommendations, or a librarian or anybody. I think that in finding books that work really well with your interests, it might keep your attention a little bit more, or you might enjoy it and might not feel like you're getting as distracted as easily, or might not feel like reading's a chore. I think if you're going into reading for the pleasure of reading, make it a pleasure. Make it something you actually enjoy. Don't slog through a book that you don't like. Who cares? Like, let it go, put it down, put it away. You don't need to force yourself to read something if you're not able to read quickly and you're not having fun with it. Put it away. I think I read quickly because I do get really passionate about books. I am excited, but I think it's mainly because my brain is neurotypical and I am able to process that information. I really enjoy reading, and I think it goes quickly for me because a lot of times while I'm reading, even though my eyes are moving, my brain is like somewhere else completely. My brain is like playing a movie in my head. So while my eyes are reading, I'm not actually looking at the word or reading the word. I don't know if that makes sense. Like I feel like it's just kind of this state, this kind of zone that you get into when you're enjoying a book so much that like your eyes are flowing, but it's visualizing in my head. So I am able to see the scenes and the characters and the setting really well, and it's very vivid for me. So that's just something that, you know, I've seen a lot of videos on BookTube in general saying like how to read more or read faster, and like yes, I get those tips are supposed to be helpful, and yeah, you can totally try ebooks, try audiobooks. Listening to books is a great resource. Find online apps and free resources like that link to your library card. Like there's a bunch of different ways to experiment with reading, but I think that that's like something we should probably stop doing. I don't know. I'd love to hear your thoughts. It just makes me a little uncomfy because not everybody is neurotypical, and we have to take into account that, like, I don't know. So that's just my thought. I'm not saying that those videos that are like how to read faster are wrong in any way. I'm not saying that. They're not doing anything bad. But I just think we need to be a little bit more considerate and stop assuming that everybody who's watching that video or who wants to read more faster is neurotypical. I think that's very presumptuous of us, and I think like there is literally nothing wrong with reading one book for an entire year. If you like that book and you enjoy that book, this should not be a contest, and this is all just about enjoyment and how you enjoy books. So enjoy in any format that you want, but I definitely say experiment, try new things, but mainly find a book that checks all of your boxes if possible. I hope that helped. And the last question I have, this is it folks, the last one is any projects for the near future? And the answer is kind of. I have been doing my Zodiac recommendation series for a while. The biggest project that I have that I'm super excited to implement in my TBR videos is my TBR jar, which I did talk about at length in my bookshelf tour video, which I will link down below for you all. This is something I'm just super excited about. It took me a while to think and come up with this many beautiful prompts. So these are all book prompts to help me choose my next reads. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. Just a few more days and I can film that video. I am geeked. I'm stoked. I'm so excited. But other than that, that's kind of it. Those are my only big projects. But there are some really fun videos coming soon, so definitely stay tuned if you're interested. That is it, my friends. That was a lot of talking. That was a lot of fun. Thank you so much for like such kind, thoughtful, personable questions. Like I so appreciate it. You all really blew my mind with, again, over 1,000 subscribers, over 1,000 of you here, and such kind, thoughtful questions. These questions really made me think and made me feel really gushy inside. So thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I hope wherever you are, you're doing incredibly well. Thanks again. Times a million for being here. I'm so excited to see you all again soon for my next video. Until then, stay cozy, my friends. Bye!